Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to each and every person that is out here on today.
Hello, beloved. This is Antoinette Marie. I believe that every one of us is born with a purpose. No matter who you are, what you do, or how far you think you have to go, you have been tapped by a force greater than yourself to step into your God-given calling. And I also believe that each one of us has an essential role in the whole of humanity. You see, the purpose of me creating Antoinette Marie Speaks is to offer the wisdom of experience from visionaries, artists, teachers, and trailblazers who have walked this road before you and who have shared their inspiration and lessons with me. So let's go. Let's take this journey together and let's discover the purpose for your life on this earth. This is Antoinette Marie Williams.
Well, good afternoon and good evening and good morning. This is Antoinette Marie of Antoinette Marie Speaks. I am so delighted that you have decided to join me on today. Today is a beautiful, beautiful day, and I am on YouTube. So I want to say hello to all of the YouTube subscribers, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, Antoinette Marie Speaks, you want to go ahead and do that. And here's the reason for that is because the majority of my material is going to be on YouTube. It is the best thing for me. And I have a lot of, stuff, really great content and things of that sort. And I want to make sure that I'm keeping it in one centralized place. So we're going to try YouTube for that. So thank you for coming on. And please, in the comment section, say who you are and say the city or the state that you are watching me in. That would be a great help. So I want to ask this question. So how has your day been? I hope that everything that you have asked for, everything that you have decided that you wanted, that it is happening in your life for yourself and for your family So today, I'm going to be speaking on toxic relationships, but I'm also going to be talking a lot about relationships just in general, because I really believe that having strong relationships are important to not just your life, but it's also important to your children's lives. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to get really, really deep into like any philosophy or methodology. I'm just going to speak what I know and speak what I believe that it's going to benefit each and every person that's on here on today. So can you do me a great favor and let your friends and your family know that, hey, if you want to get some really, here's some really great information and advice, Antoinette Marie Speaks is on, and let's get into this. So let me tell you a story first. So I recall a time in my life where I just really wanted to have really strong relationships with absolutely everyone in my family. I am that individual that I don't like to see people sad. I don't like to see people be in discomfort, living in discomfort. And so I just wanted people just to be happy and to live well and so on and so forth. And then I recall some things that happened to me as a child that just really kind of extracted some of those desires from me. So I want to say to you this, is that even if you are in a relationship, no matter if it is a romantic relationship or it's a relationship with your siblings or your parents or your cousins or any family member. I want to say this to you because it's so very important. And I think that this is a great thing to also have conversations with your children about. My first point I want to make is stop trying to win people's favor. Like, stop trying with everything within yourself to win people's favor. If they don't want to be around you naturally, don't continue to force that. And I remember after I had gone through my divorce and I really was like in this place of not really truly understanding what was happening in my life. I had been married for almost 25 years and I couldn't kind of find my way. Like, I'm like, what is going on with me just as a human being? And I kept trying to win people's approval because I was so disappointed in having to go through a divorce and having my children to go through a divorce, right? But one thing I remembered as times where I was homeless and I was living in my truck, and I'll never forget this. I was in the parking lot of the YMCA. I think it was the YMCA. And I remember I had a specific place where I used to park. And one of the things I recall was sitting there in my truck and I'm sitting, in that second back seat and I'm saying to myself, what am I doing? And in that process, I still wanted to be the best supervisor I absolutely could be. And no one on my entire team knew what was happening. But I remember one day it was in the morning and I used to take showers at the YMCA. And this lasted for a couple of weeks actually. And so I remember going into the YMCA and I had my bag, right? And because I was in corporate America, so you had to dress a certain way. And so I remember looking at the time and I'm like, man, I really got to get going. And there was a woman that was in one of the shower areas. And I was like, oh boy, she's been in there a good 20 minutes or so. And so when she finally came out, she said, oh, you know what? I forgot to wash my hair. And I just looked at her. And because of the person that God has created me and designed me to be, I just looked at her and I said, you know what? I really got to use this shower. And she looked at me. She looked at me and was like, you know what? But I do too. I feel like for me, to my core at that particular time, I wanted to win her favor. And I didn't want her to see me as a person that was negative or I wanted her to do what she had to do. And I didn't want friction. That's probably it's a better way to say it. Like, I've never been a person that wanted static in my life. I've never been a person that just feeds off negativity. So I want to say to you today, you don't have to try to win people's favor. If they decide to like you, embrace you, or for you to be a part of their team or their tribe or their community, I truly believe that it will happen naturally, beloved. It will happen naturally. The other thing too, I want to say, and I'm just going to do some points here for today because I think that is just in alignment with what I sense and what I feel, right? A lot of times when we try to win people's favor, they really don't have it to give. Like, sometimes when we're in relationships, we're like, oh yeah, I want this, and he's that, and she's that, and so on and so forth. Listen, sometimes you are asking people for something that they don't really have to give. They don't have it within themselves to give, and they don't have it within themselves to give because they don't feel like they need to. I always say that a lot of times we say, well, I just can't. There are many things in life that we can't do, but there are many things that we just decide not to do. So many times when you're asking for people's favor and they decide not to give it to you, you have to let these people off the hook and go on about your business, right? Right? Because God is the supreme God for your approval, for your self-worth. So you have to let people go. You totally have to let people go, right? Number 3, when you're having a relationship that you know it is not bearing good fruit, we talked about that on Bridging the Nations on Sunday. It's not bearing good fruit. It's not healthy. You know that you are in a toxic type of relationship or environment when it lacks trust. There's controlling issues or behaviors. People are frequently not telling you the truth. And many times, often you'll have one particular partner that prioritizes one person and the other person just does whatever they want to do, right? And so today, just wanting you to really understand that toxic relationships, there is absolutely, sorry about that, you all. Let's see if I can go back to where you are. Let me see here. I hope that you're still there. Let me get off here. My entire computer looked like it totally was getting ready to crash. And so the other thing is, you know, a lot of times people will say, well, how do I know I'm in a toxic relationship? I just kind of had some verbiage about it. If you lack trust in a relationship, or people are trying to control you, telling you where you should go, where you cannot go, you know, what should happen, what should not happen. People are frequently not telling you the truth, and you don't know really what to do with that. That relationship is not the best relationship for you to be in. And this is the other thing I want to say is that while a lot of times toxic relationships can be at times have you to get to a point where you're looking at yourself like, should I stay? Should I go? Should I leave? Should I stay? I think all the time human beings know what to do. I truly, truly believe that. A lot of times we say, well, I'm not really sure what I should do. And we'll go and we'll get, you know, advice from other people. I believe that human beings know what's good for them and what's not good for them the majority of the time, right? So some of the warning signs, you know, like, why am I in a, you know, if you go to the bathroom and you know, somebody is looking in your cell phone, some of that are signs of jealousy, right? But an excessive amount, you may be in a toxic relationship. If you have people that are keeping scorecards, you may be in a toxic relationship. Being blamed for other people's emotions, you may be in a toxic relationship. If you have nothing but drama all the time, you probably are in a toxic relationship. If you have like self-betrayal, like you're going to betray yourself for a relationship, that's a toxic relationship, right? And so today what I want to do is that I want to talk to you a little bit about those stages, right? And so here are some of the signs that you might be in that toxic relationship as well. People don't respect your boundaries. If you say, hey, you know, don't do that, don't touch me here, you know, don't go in my purse or don't go in my wallet, some of those may be signs of a toxic relationship. If you see them feeling or being jealous or out of control, or could be some of the signs that you might be in a toxic relationship. If every single thing is about them, every single thing, you start a conversation and all of a sudden somehow it turns out to be about them. You want to make sure that you're looking at that relationship. You want to look at that relationship, right? The other thing is some advice, right? Here are some steps that are going to turn things around for you if you want them to. Now, I love y'all really, really a whole lot, but let me tell you what's happening right now. My hubby is calling me, so hey, babe, I'm doing a live right now. I'm doing a live right now. Can I call you back?
Okay, I can drop it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, you're live right now, like you're live. They can hear you. So let me call you back. I love you. That's real love. All right. Okay, so the next thing is I want to be able to equip you with some steps on how you're able to turn some things around in your own personal life, right? Um, I tell you, I love that man, by the way. But I want to say to you this is that there is no reason that you have to stay in a toxic relationship, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about some steps for turning things around. Number one, stop dwelling on the past. Stop dwelling on the past. And I know that's easier said than done, right? And so I think that we go through healing all continually, and particularly if you've had childhood trauma, right? Or any type of trauma in your life, right? So don't continue to dwell on the past. If you see yourself doing that, then you want to make sure that you have a process, steps and stages that you recognize, hey, I'm doing it again. Let me position my brain so that I'm thinking about something else. Sometimes you have people put on music and not music that will have them to continue to dwell about that past relationship, right? Right. Number two, you want to view your partner with compassion as much as you possibly can. As much as you possibly can. I am an advocate, number three, on therapy. We have individuals like Stacy, one of our community friends who does hypnotherapy. It's fantastic. She's fantastic, right? So therapy is a must, in my opinion. You want to also find support. You want to find people that love you, that support you. You want to also practice healthy communication. If something is going on in your life and you know that you don't appreciate how people are treating you, you have to communicate that. A lot of times we think that people should know, like, I've said this too before with my husband, like you should kind of know, like I'm giving you signs. Don't do that. You don't have to look at signs. You don't have to tell people, I'm showing you. Well, no, you're really not showing me. Tell people what you need, right? Tell people what you need. And I think that that's very, very important, because a lot of times we'll say, well, you know what, we've known each other for such and such amount of time. So I just think like by now you should know. That's not true. That's not true. The other thing is that I want you to be accountable for your emotions. I want you to be accountable for where you are in this relationship. Why are you still in the relationship that you know is toxic, that's causing you emotionally, spiritual, whatever type of harm, right? The other thing I want to say to you is, and I stopped doing numbers just because I'm not going to be able to keep up with them, because when things are just flowing. The other thing I want to say is I think that it's really important that you heal individually. You want to make sure that you're healing individually before you say, oh, wow, let's us both come in and have therapy. Because sometimes that can be a little bit dangerous. Ask me how I know. Put both my hands up, right? Right. And then the last thing in this particular area is that allow for the opportunity, right? Create a holding space for the other people or the person in the relationship to change. The reason why I say this is because a lot of times when we believe that we are in a toxic relationship, we just say one and done, right? But give an opportunity, because just as well as you're in a toxic relationship, that also means that he or she is also in that same toxic relationship. And if I truly believe that people do want to be better, I believe like 98% of human beings really do want to be better. And the train said yes to be better and to live better. I truly believe that. I think the other thing too is I always say to be in a relationship, this is my notes here. I always say to be in a relationship, you must also recognize when it's not healthy, right? We know sometimes, majority of the times, we know when things are not healthy. We know when people are no longer treating us kind. We know when people, look at us or stare at us and roll their eyes or speak negative things about us. We know those things, right? I truly believe that everything that we need, because God lives within us, it's already in us. You can transition. You don't have to stay in the same situation. You need to have a plan. I also want to say this to any individual that is in an abusive relationship, to have a plan. You do not deserve to be abused mentally, psychologically, emotionally, or physically. Have a plan, speak to someone, and get out of that relationship. That is not godly. That is not how God designed for your life to be. I know there's a story in the Bible, I think it's Ruth, the first chapter, the 14th verse, and it says that, and they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Oprah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave to her. Ruth said, I'm going to stay right here. And only thing you have to remember is that sometimes in life, everyone cannot stay in your life. Everyone is not meant to stay in your life forever. And so just like this, right? Opha, her part in the story doesn't mean that she's insignificant. It doesn't mean that she was a bad person. It does mean that her journey there with Ruth and Naomi was over. I want to say to some of you, stop trying to raise the dead. Sometimes we have to let it go. And I know, beloved, that can be very, very difficult. But this is also what I do know is that you don't need to make other people's lives miserable when they break up with you or no longer want to be in your life. I'm going to say that again because I think that that's very important. When you are in a relationship and you know that that relationship no longer serves the great I am that dwells within you, that relationship is no longer serving any greatness. You don't need to make that person's life miserable. I've heard people say, a living hell. When you decide that you are going to no longer be in that relationship, or when you break up, or you no longer want that person to be in your life, leave it in the past. If you can leave all of it in the past, leave all of it in the past, right? Because when you continue to bring that toxicity back up, it doesn't serve you well, beloved. You have to know when there are people that are in your life, you have to know when their journey is over with you. And it's okay. It's okay for people to not be in your life forever and ever and ever. I know that that's difficult to hear. It could be difficult. Sometimes it has been difficult even for me to say, but I know that it is true. There are some people on this earth planet that just have not been taught how to love. They have never really seen true divine love. You have to relinquish that hold, that control that you want to have on that person. Because some people, from my experience and from the 3 books I've written and from my own life experience, some people's emotional library is just non-existent. They just don't. And I really do believe that many times some people are just emotionally unavailable. Some people are just emotionally unavailable. And when you find yourself in a relationship such as that, and with you, you know that you love, people say, I love hard. All that means is that people have a desire to be loved in the way that they give love. But that's not always, it doesn't always happen. Some people can be emotionally unavailable. So I want to say that to you. If you know that you are in a relationship where someone is emotionally unavailable and you cannot do well in a relationship like that, then you have to let them go. Because you're doing yourself an injustice. You're doing yourself an injustice. You can get out of that relationship. But when people tell you who they are, the first time you have to believe them until they show you something different. And then many times people actually will do what they are doing based on the information that they have at that particular time. So if you have someone and you're in a relationship and they say to you, you know, I don't really know how to be emotionally there for you. Maybe they don't. Maybe they've never seen that in their family. Do you know? So these are questions that you want to ask before you get deep in a relationship. You want to ask these questions. How do you feel about love? How do you feel about intimacy? How do you feel about going to the movies on Tuesday? How do you feel about children? How you want to ask these questions. And when people tell you that they don't know something, believe them. That way you can stop attaching yourself to people that behave badly. If people tell you that, hey, I don't see anything wrong with slapping a female or slapping a guy, you know, if they do something wrong. Beloved, we know that that's not the relationship that you want to be in. I would hope so. I would hope that that wouldn't be the relationship that we want to be in, right? So when people treat you badly, you don't want to stay in that relationship, right? You don't want to be in a relationship where people have told you what they can and what they cannot do. But a lot of times what we do is that we want to change people. And I want to say to you, they can't do it. People have to want to change themselves. And when people decide that they want to change themselves, then change will take place. The other thing is clear yourself from any negativity. Now, I have some clients that I'm doing some work with, and we're working on childhood trauma and clearing out atmospheric negativity, old trauma. And childhood trauma is real. Even in my own personal life, I can tell you I had so much childhood trauma. And now, as I am working with other individuals and even with myself, because there's some childhood trauma, you know, some of that stuff comes back up, right? So do your darnest to clear yourself from negative people. I'm telling you, just clear yourself away from people that you know that are negative. Everything that comes out of their mouth is negative, right? Yeah. You got to look also at your pathology as well, and learning like your family history. Those things are important. I always say, and I will continue to say this in life, sometimes people come into your life for a reason. Sometimes people come into your life for a season. And then sometimes people stay in your life for a lifetime. But everybody doesn't come and stay. Everybody doesn't come and stay. The person that you were 10 years ago is not the same person that you are now. I am a believer of great, healthy, prudent relationships, marriages. I love it. Just make sure that that relationship that you're in is the relationship that you truly want to be in, right? Because a lot of times we stay in relationships that we know no longer serves us because we don't want to make the other person feel bad. Kind of like what I was talking about at the beginning. So that means we have placed someone else above the God that it dwells within you, the God that you speak to every single day. And God is saying to you, this is not the best relationship for you. You need to move on. The Bible says to love people as you love yourself, not to love people over you loving yourself. Oh, that's a good word right there. Love doesn't require you to wake up every morning and suffer. Love doesn't require you to wake up every morning and then be filled with sadness or confusion, right? Love doesn't do that. Love doesn't require you to know within your own self that you really don't want to do a certain thing. I'm not sure why, what happened with my connection, but I know that you can hear me, so I'm going to keep going. Love is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And we want to make sure that the love that we have, that the love that you have for other people, that you also have that love for yourself, beloved. That you have that love for yourself. That's my hope. That's my prayer for you, right? Again, love doesn't require you to suffer. Love doesn't require you to wake up in the morning and you think about a certain thing and makes you go and want to puke. Love, that's not love, okay? I said to one of my clients this week, I said, you have to communicate what you need. People don't necessarily always know how to read you. People shouldn't have to read you. You have to communicate what you need, beloved. And when you know that you've communicated and they've comprehended what you have said, and this goes both ways, and it still is not working, or for whatever the reason, they no longer want to be in your life the way that you want them to be in your life, you have to make a change, right? And sometimes we have to admit that we are part of the problem and that we're also a part of the solution. Yeah. So I will say this to you. Stop giving people intimate seating in your life when they've shown you that they cannot handle it. You have to understand that. When you have given yourself, you have done everything, and they still don't want to be in your life, they still don't want to love you, then you have to say, I'm giving someone intimate seating in my life, and they cannot even handle being in general admission. You got to set some boundaries. Make sure people in your life have the proper seating. Make sure they have the proper seating, right? And I want to say this to you as well. People can apologize and accept the apology. Accept it. Accept it. That way you can forgive. Grant the forgiveness, right? So sometimes you have to say to people, I accept your apology. I accept the apology accepted. Forgiveness has been granted. However, trust has been denied and you have to move on. And I am always an individual that will say, you know what, give them another chance. That's your choice. Depends on that hurt. It depends on that toxicity. It's your choice, right? And I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you know, that's what I did in my past. And now, you know, I'm closer to God. Let me say something to you. You will still reap what you have sown. Lessons learned are blessings. But you will still have to be and come and be accountable for what you have done, right? And so when you hear people say, "Oh, you know, no, now we know, we should be back in a relationship," that doesn't mean that. Because you have accepted someone's apology and you have forgiven them, it doesn't mean that you give them access to your intimate space in your life. It doesn't mean that you have to go back and then immediately you're trusting that individual. Sometimes trust has to be denied for a time and you have to start to move on, right? Trust yourself for one, right? I said to someone today, and it was kind of funny. I said to the wife, the husband and the wife, and she felt a certain way. And I said, she said to her husband, she said, I want you to understand that I love you, but I'm not a Lunchable. And I was like, whoa, I never heard that before. And so he said, what? And she said, I'm not a Lunchable. I need you in my life, and I desire for you to be in my life 100% of the time. And I want you to know you can't just come in and come out of my life when you feel like it's convenient for you. She said, I'm not a Lunchable. I'm just not here for lunchtime. I'm just not something that you put on the mantle and then you come and you engage in a relationship whenever you want to. I thought it was very, very interesting. The other thing I want to say to you today is you may have times in your life where people will say, oh, no, you're not treating me well, or why aren't you speaking to me anymore? After the hurt, after you've come and realized that you were in a toxic relationship, and they'll be upset. I want to say this to you. Sometimes you have to say to people, please don't confuse boundaries with a grudge. Because you have set boundaries for yourself and because you have set boundaries for the relationship, that doesn't mean that you are holding a grudge. Only you know that, right? Only you know if that's really what that is. Because sometimes people might say, oh, I'm not holding a grudge, and they really are, right? But you can set boundaries for other individuals that are in your life and you can still love them, truly love them. I also want to say this to you. Don't give people or anything or anyone access to your peace, the peace that comes from within you, the peace that surpasses all understanding. And I know a lot of times people will be like, well, how can you even speak to them on the phone? Because I have peace and because I have set some boundaries. I don't hold a grudge, but I'm just got to move a little different, right? And then when you decide that you want to re-engage people back into your life, that's fine. But I want to tell you this, be picky. Don't just let people come back into your life because they want to. This is your life, right? And I want to say this to you as well. When I said before, some things and some people you just have to let go. You do. Because time doesn't always allow you to continue to relive the pain, the agony, the toxicity over and over again. Please, beloved, learn the lesson. You have work to do on this earth planet. God has given you ideas for a purpose. And sometimes you have to understand that the boundaries that you set, it is not even for them. It can be just for you. And that is okay. It's more than okay. It's more than okay. So I'm saying today, choose yourself. How can you love someone and you don't love yourself? Right? And I think I heard a song that somebody said that they wouldn't hesitate to choose you in every lifetime, but that person refused to choose them in just this one. I heard another song that said, I can't make you love me. You can't make people love you. Either people love you unconditionally, love you for just you being you. I told my husband one day, I said, I love you for no reason. You don't have to do anything. That's real love. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to prove anything to me. You don't have to try to become someone that you're not. But you do have to treat me well. Because if you decide that you no longer want to treat me well, because I treat you well, yeah. And so if there's anything that you can get out of what I said today, I want to say this to you. When you're in a relationship that you know that's toxic and you know you have to exit left or exit right. And you can do it with kindness. You can do it with care. You can do it even sometimes in silence and not having to broadcast what you're doing, right? You can love people from afar, right? You can also, with who you are as the person that you are on this planet, you can also say, you know what, I need to set these boundaries. And you can love them enough to let them go. Yeah, because I believe in the grieving process that, we can grieve for someone, but sometimes staying hurts even more. It hurts worse to stay in something that you know is no longer good for you. Yeah. And so when people show you that what you are giving them, that they don't want it, they don't value it, let them go. Let them go. And you can do it with kindness. And you can still say, if they ever come back, if they ever decide they want to come back, you can say, you know what? Hey, I appreciate you wanting to come back and be a part of my life. However, at this particular time, I am filled to capacity. I still appreciate you, but I have had to set some boundaries. And I want to let you know, beloved, that's all well. There's no need for revenge. There's no need for revenge. That's not who you are. Because what I know for sure is that sometimes your presence or your absence alone is enough. If people love you and care for you, and then all of a sudden you're out of their lives, and it's just okay with them, you have to determine within yourself what type of relationship that truly was. And you're not here to hurt people, and you're not here to harm people. But what you are here to do is for you to live the best life that you possibly can live. And that's always a good thing. So I'm hoping that you got something out of this midweek conversation on toxic relationships and how to recognize them, how to get out of one, and that it's okay to grieve. It's okay. But once you have finished grieving, you get up, You wipe yourself clean, and you go back and you engage in just everyday life and know that you made the best decision for you and hopefully for your family. I appreciate you so much for being here. I appreciate you for taking out your time and just listening to what I'm saying. And if you need some advice, you know you can find me. speak@AntoinetteMarie.com. That's my email address. And you can leave a comment because that's important. I appreciate you. And as always, if you have a husband or a wife, let them know that you love them. Love is not just what you say, it is absolutely what you do. And if you have children, love on your children. Give them a call. Let them know how important they are to your life's trajectory because they are. And even if they don't call you back, if they don't text you back, that has nothing to do with you. You are responsible for the way that you respond to any situation, including relationships. I hope that your day goes absolutely fantastic. I hope that I will see you again on Sunday for Bridging the Nations and next week as well. Have a fantastic, fantastic week. This is Antoinette Marie Williams of Antoinette Marie Speaks. Be well and take care.
Hello, beloved. This is Antoinette Marie. You know, I believe that every one of us is born with a purpose. No matter who you are, what you do, or how far you think you have to go, you have been tapped by a force greater than yourself to step into your God-given calling. And I also believe that each one of us has an essential role in the whole of humanity. You see, the purpose of me creating Antoinette Marie Speaks is to offer the wisdom of experience from visionaries, artists, teachers, and trailblazers who have walked this road before you and who have shared their inspiration and lessons with me. So let's go. Let's take this journey together and let's discover the purpose for your life on this earth.